The envelope trembled in Eliza Morgan's hands. She'd checked the lottery numbers 3 times already, but needed to be absolutely certain before she allowed herself to feel anything. The television droned in the background as she meticulously compared each digit on her ticket to the winning combination displayed on the official lottery website. $10 million, she whispered, the words hanging in the air of her empty kitchen. $10 million. Her fingers instinctively reached for her phone to call Devon, but stopped midair. The memory of last night's argument crashed over her like a wave of ice water. Devon hadn't come home again. 3rd time this week? Another late meeting with Vivienne Pierce, the striking new CEO who'd taken over Meridian Financial 6 months ago. The sound of a key in the front door lock jolted Eliza from her thoughts. She quickly folded the lottery ticket and slid it into her pocket, closing the laptop in one swift motion. Devon's footsteps echoed through their modest suburban home, growing louder as he approached the kitchen. "Hey," he said flatly, not meeting her eyes as he placed his briefcase on the counter. Devon looked exhausted, his usually immaculate appearance slightly disheveled. His dark blue dress shirt was wrinkled, and a faint smudge of what looked like lipstick ghosted the edge of his collar. "It's nearly midnight," Eliza said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I told you I'd be working late." Devon loosened his tie and headed for the refrigerator, pulling out a bottle of sparkling water. "The Westbrook acquisition is a mess." Eliza studied her husband's face, searching for any flicker of guilt or remorse. 15 years of marriage had taught her Devon's tells, the way his left eyebrow twitched slightly when he lied, how he couldn't quite maintain eye contact. Tonight he was practically a case study. "I called your office at 9, she said. "Margaret said you'd left at 7. Devon froze mid-sip, then carefully placed the bottle down. "We went to dinner. To discuss strategy? We? You and Vivienne?" "The executive team," he corrected too quickly. "Look, I'm exhausted. Can we not do this tonight?" Something inside Eliza hardened as she watched her husband, this increasingly unfamiliar man, dismiss her concerns with practiced ease. The weight of the lottery ticket in her pocket suddenly felt like an anchor, grounding her in a strange new reality where everything was simultaneously falling apart and coming together. "I made an appointment with Dr. Winters for us," she said. "Marriage counseling. Thursday at 6, Devon's face tightened. "I told you, I'm not asking." Eliza cut him off, her voice unnervingly calm. 15 years? Devon. 15 years deserves at least a conversation. Devon ran his hand through his salt and pepper hair. The gesture that had once made her heart flutter now only heightened her suspicion. He looked like he might argue, then sighed and nodded. "Fine. Thursday at 6. He picked up his briefcase. "I'm going to shower." As Devon disappeared upstairs, Eliza pulled out the lottery ticket again, staring at the numbers that had just changed her life. $10 million. A fortune that represented freedom, security, possibilities. Her phone buzzed with a text message. It was from her best friend, Nadine. "Any news on the Devon situation? Call me if you need me. Love you." Eliza's thumb hovered over the screen, considering whether to share her lottery win, but something held her back. A plan was forming in her mind, nebulous and uncertain, but taking shape with every passing second. Instead, she typed, "We're talking Thursday. We'll call tomorrow." Upstairs, she heard the shower running. Devon was washing away his day, perhaps washing away traces of another woman. Eliza slipped the lottery ticket into the secret compartment of her jewelry box, a hiding place Devon had never discovered in all their years together. For now, her windfall would remain her secret. A secret as closely guarded as the ones her husband was keeping. The next morning, Eliza woke to an empty bed. Devon had left early, a pattern that had become routine over the past few months. The digital clock read 7:15 a.m., plenty of time to prepare for her meeting with Lawrence Chen, her financial advisor. She'd scheduled the appointment ostensibly to discuss her modest inheritance from her Aunt Mabel, but now had a much bigger financial matter to address. As she showered, Eliza's mind raced through the last year of her marriage. the gradual distance, Devon's increasing criticism, his late nights and weekend emergencies, the way his phone would mysteriously turn face down whenever she entered a room. She'd been a fool, making excuses for him, believing his lies because the alternative was too painful to contemplate. At Lawrence's office, she carefully closed the door behind her before speaking. "I need absolute discretion with what I'm about to tell you," Eliza said, her voice low despite the privacy of his office. Lawrence nodded, his expression serious. "Of course. Attorney-client privilege extends to financial matters we discuss." Eliza pulled out the lottery ticket, now safely encased in a plastic sleeve. "I won the Mega Millions on Tuesday. $10 million. Lawrence's eyes widened slightly, the only break in his professional demeanor. "Congratulations," he said, taking the ticket carefully. "That's substantial." "I don't want my husband to know," Eliza continued. Not yet. If Lawrence was surprised by this stipulation, he didn't show it. Instead, he nodded and began explaining her options for anonymously claiming the prize through a trust. "We can create a blind trust," he explained. "Your name would never be publicly associated with the winnings. The trust would be the official winner. How quickly can we set this up?" "I can have the paperwork ready by tomorrow," Lawrence said. "But Eliza, I need to ask, is everything okay between you and Devon?" Eliza stared out the window at the cityscape below. The morning sun glinted off glass buildings, creating an illusion of warmth on this cold October day. "I believe my husband is having an affair," she said, the words feeling both painful and liberating as they left her mouth. "And I need to protect myself?" Lawrence nodded, his expression compassionate but professional. "In that case, there are additional measures we should consider." For the next hour, they discussed trust structures, asset protection, and contingency plans. By the time Eliza left Lawrence's office, she had a clear path forward for securing her windfall from whatever storm might be brewing in her marriage. Back at home, Eliza found herself standing in Devon's home office. She rarely entered this space anymore. Devon had become increasingly territorial about it over the past year. But now, propelled by a mixture of suspicion and newfound courage, she began methodically opening drawers and examining files. In the third drawer of his desk, beneath a stack of innocuous office supplies, she found a small velvet jewelry box. Her heart lurched as she opened it, revealing a delicate platinum necklace with a teardrop diamond pendant. It was exquisite, expensive, and definitely not for her. Their anniversary had passed months ago, and her birthday wasn't until spring. Next to the box was a leather-bound planner, Devon's analog system that he maintained despite having everything digitized. Flipping through the pages, Eliza found entries marked simply with V and times. The most recent was yesterday, V 8 p.m. She photographed several pages with her phone, then carefully replaced everything exactly as she'd found it. Moving to his computer, Eliza hesitated. This felt like crossing a line, invading a privacy they had always respected in their marriage. But hadn't Devon already shattered that trust? She tried several password combinations before succeeding with Vivienne 2023, a punch to the gut that confirmed her worst fears. His email opened to reveal dozens of exchanges with Vivienne Pierce. Most were professional, but interspersed were messages with subjects like, "last night," and "can't stop thinking about you." Eliza opened one from 3 days ago. Devon. "The Tokyo presentation is perfect. You've captured exactly what the board needs to see. This is why we work so well together, in all ways. Dinner at my place tomorrow? I'll cook that pasta dish you love." Counting the hours. Eliza's hands shook as she took screenshots, then carefully logged out, erasing all traces of her digital trespass. She had what she needed now, confirmation of what her heart had already known. As she left the office, her phone rang. It was Nadine. "Hey, you okay? You've been radio silent since yesterday." Eliza sank onto the living room couch, suddenly exhausted. "I found proof," she said simply. Nadine swore quietly. "That bastard. What are you going to do?" I don't know yet, Eliza admitted. We have counseling tomorrow. I thought maybe… Eliza, honey, men like Devon don't change. You know that, right? 15 years, Nadine. 15 years counts for something. It should, Nadine agreed, her voice softening. But does it count for him? After hanging up, Eliza found herself staring at a family photo from their 10th anniversary trip to Greece. Devon's arm was wrapped around her waist, both of them sun-kissed and smiling against the backdrop of the Mediterranean. They looked happy, in love. Had it all been a lie? Or had something real transformed into this hollow mockery of a marriage? Eliza placed the photo face down on the shelf and began preparing for the confrontation that awaited her. Thursday morning arrived with a spring storm that matched Eliza's turbulent emotions. She had barely slept, rehearsing what she would say to Devon in Dr. Winter's office that evening. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lawrence. Trust established. Meeting at 2 p.m. to sign papers. One step closer to securing her future, whatever form it might take. Devon had come home late again the previous night, offering no explanation beyond a mumbled greeting before retreating to the guest bedroom. They were like ghosts haunting the same house, passing through each other's lives without connection. At precisely 1:58 p.m., Eliza walked into Lawrence's office, signed the necessary documents, and officially became the anonymous beneficiary of a $10 million trust. The physical weight of the lottery ticket transferred from her possession to Lawrence's secure client vault, but the emotional weight remained squarely on her shoulders. The funds should be available within 2 weeks, Lawrence explained. The trust is ironclad. Devon would have no claim to it even if he discovered its existence. Eliza nodded, a strange calm settling over her. Thank you, Lawrence. Have you considered what you'll do? He asked gently. About your marriage? I'm going to give him one chance to tell me the truth, she said. Tonight, Dr. Winter's office was designed to feel comforting. Soft lighting, comfortable furniture, gentle colors. But nothing could ease the tension crackling between Eliza and Devon as they sat across from each other. The therapist a neutral presence in the chair between them. I'm glad you both came today, Dr. Winters began. Eliza mentioned you've been experiencing some communication difficulties. Devon shifted uncomfortably. We've been busy. Work has been demanding. For both of us, Eliza added pointedly. Her job as a high school art teacher might not have the prestige of Devon's executive position, but it was no less consuming. Let's start with what brought you here specifically, Dr. Winters suggested. Eliza? Eliza took a deep breath. Devon has been distant for months. Late nights at work, weekends suddenly filled with emergencies. His phone always face down or locked away. Devon's jaw tightened. You make it sound sinister. I've been handling a major acquisition. With Vivienne Pierce? Eliza asked quietly. The name hung in the air between them. Devon's expression flickered. Surprise, guilt, then carefully constructed indifference, among others. She's the CEO, Eliza. Of course I work with her. Is that all she is to you? Your boss? Dr. Winters observed silently, allowing the moment to unfold. What exactly are you accusing me of? Devon asked, his voice hardening. Eliza met his gaze directly. I'm not accusing. I'm asking for the truth. Are you having an affair with Vivienne? The question, so direct, so unavoidable, seemed to physically impact Devon. He recoiled slightly, then straightened, his corporate mask slipping firmly into place. This is ridiculous. I don't have to sit here and… Please answer the question, Devon, Dr. Winters interjected calmly. Eliza deserves that much. Devon looked between them, then stood abruptly. I can't do this. Not now. When then? Eliza's voice remained steady despite the storm raging inside her. When would be a convenient time for you to discuss the fact that you're sleeping with your boss? You don't understand the pressure I'm under, Devon said, running his hand through his hair, that familiar gesture now infuriating in its familiarity. Meridian is everything to me. I've worked my entire life to reach this level. And I'm what? Collateral damage? Devon's silence was answer enough. He paced the small office, avoiding both women's gazes. I think, he finally said, his voice strangely detached. That we need some time apart. Eliza laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. That's convenient. You've already been taking all the apart time you need with Vivienne. It's not just about Vivienne, Devon snapped. It's about us. We've been drifting for years, Eliza. You know it too. We want different things. What I wanted was honesty, Eliza replied. What I wanted was a husband who honored his vows. Devon stopped pacing and faced her, his expression hardening. What I want is a divorce. The words struck Eliza like a physical blow, despite having anticipated them. Dr. Winters leaned forward, attempting to de-escalate the situation, but Devon was already reaching for his coat. I've consulted an attorney, he continued, the corporate executive fully in control now. You'll be hearing from them tomorrow. I'm sorry it's come to this, but it's for the best. For the best? Eliza echoed, a dangerous edge to her voice. For whom exactly? But Devon was already walking out the door, leaving Eliza and Dr. Winters in stunned silence. After a long moment, Dr. Winters spoke gently. Are you all right? Eliza stared at the closed door, a strange calm settling over her. No, she answered truthfully, but I will be. The divorce papers arrived by courier the following Monday morning, stark legal language outlining the dissolution of 15 years in clinical, unemotional terms. Devon had moved out over the weekend, taking only essential belongings and leaving a brief note. I'll arrange to get the rest later. I'm staying at the Westbrook Hotel for now, no apology. No explanation, just logistics. Eliza sat at her kitchen table, scanning the documents with increasing disbelief. Devon was claiming their joint savings account, his retirement fund, significantly larger than hers, and their investment portfolio. He'd generously left her the house, but with a stipulation that it be sold within a year and the proceeds split 60-40 in his favor, justified by his larger contribution to the mortgage. Most shocking was the alimony section. Devon was offering nothing, claiming that as a teacher with a stable income, Eliza was self-sufficient and required no financial support. Her phone rang. Lawrence Chen. I assume you've received the papers? He asked, his voice tight with controlled anger. Yes, Eliza replied, still processing the audacity of Devon's terms. He wants everything, Lawrence. Not unusual, unfortunately. They typically start with an unreasonable position to negotiate down from. Lawrence paused. But there's something else you should know. Devon emptied your joint savings account on Friday. All $62,000. Eliza closed her eyes, absorbing this new betrayal. Can he do that? Legally, yes, until there's a temporary order in place prohibiting it. Morally, it's reprehensible. Lawrence's voice hardened. But we have something he doesn't know about. Your trust fund is secure and untraceable. Eliza nodded, though Lawrence couldn't see her. What's my next move? Do nothing for now. Don't respond to the filing. Let him think you're devastated, paralyzed. Meanwhile, I'm connecting you with Caroline Reyes. She's the best divorce attorney in the state. I can't afford the best, Eliza began. Actually, Lawrence reminded her gently, you can. 10 million times over. Caroline Reyes's office occupied the entire top floor of a downtown high-rise, with views that stretched to the mountains beyond the city limits. The attorney herself was a study in controlled power, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, her silver hair cut in a sharp bob that framed intelligent eyes that missed nothing. Your husband has made a critical mistake, Caroline said after reviewing Devon's filing. He's banking on your emotional devastation clouding your judgment. He expects you to either cave immediately or fight emotionally rather than strategically. Eliza nodded, finding Caroline's clinical approach oddly comforting. That sounds like Devon. He's always underestimated me. To our advantage, Caroline replied with the hint of a smile. Now, about this lottery win. Lawrence briefed me, but I need details. For the next hour, they constructed a plan, methodical, precise, and designed to give Eliza back not just what she was entitled to, but her dignity as well. The key, Caroline explained, is timing. We'll delay responding to his filing, requesting extensions for procedural reasons. Meanwhile, we gather evidence of his affair, document the emptied accounts, and prepare for the moment your trust fund becomes active. And then? Then, Caroline said, her eyes glinting, we show our hand, but only partially. We counter with terms that seem reasonable but protect your most important assets. The trust stays hidden until absolutely necessary. What if he fights? Men like Devon rarely have the stomach for a prolonged legal battle once their initial intimidation fails, Caroline assured her. Especially with the evidence of infidelity. The Meridian Financial Board won't appreciate their CFO having an affair with their CEO. There's a morality clause in most executive contracts. As Eliza left Caroline's office, a text message appeared on her phone, from Devon. Need to collect some files from the house. Coming by tomorrow at 7, won't stay long. Eliza stared at the message, a plan forming. Tomorrow would be her first opportunity to see Devon since his dramatic exit from therapy. Her first chance to begin implementing Caroline's strategy. Her response was simple. Fine. Devon arrived precisely at 7, using his key without knocking, a small but telling violation of boundaries. He appeared startled to find Eliza sitting calmly in the living room, a glass of wine in her hand. Looking composed in a simple black dress she knew he'd always admired. I thought you'd be out, he said, clearly thrown off balance. Why would I be out? Eliza asked mildly. This is my home. Devon's eyes narrowed slightly at the emphasis on my, but he said nothing, moving toward his office. I just need some files from the study. I'll be quick. Take your time. Eliza replied, sipping her wine. I assume you received the request for an extension on responding to your filing? Devon paused mid-stride. Yes, delaying won't change anything, Eliza. Perhaps not, she conceded. But proper consideration seems appropriate for ending 15 years, don't you think? Something like guilt flickered across Devon's face before he masked it. I'm trying to make this as painless as possible. By taking all our savings? By demanding 60% of the house? Eliza laughed softly. Your definition of painless needs work, Devon's jaw tightened. The distribution reflects our contributions. Our contributions, Eliza repeated thoughtfully. Interesting metric. Tell me, how do you quantify supporting someone's career for 15 years? What's the dollar value of giving up a gallery opportunity in New York so you could take the promotion in Chicago? That was 13 years ago, Devon said dismissively. And you chose to be a teacher. I chose us, Eliza corrected. Repeatedly, a concept you seem to have forgotten. Devon's professional mask slipped, revealing a flash of anger. What do you want, Eliza? A scene? Tears and recriminations? It's over. What I want, Eliza said, rising from her chair with newfound confidence, is respect. The papers you sent offer none. They offer reality, Devon countered. You've been living in our little suburban bubble while I've built something significant. Vivienne understands what that takes. The casual cruelty of his words hung in the air between them. In previous months, such dismissal would have devastated Eliza. Tonight, it merely confirmed what she needed to know. The man she'd married was truly gone. I see, she said quietly. Well, don't let me keep you from your significant things. Devon seemed almost disappointed by her calm response. He'd come prepared for hysteria, for the emotional Eliza he could easily dismiss. This composed, dignified woman before him was harder to categorize. He disappeared into his study, emerging minutes later with a leather portfolio. I'll be in touch about getting the rest of my things. Eliza nodded, not trusting herself to speak further. Only when the front door closed behind him did she allow herself a moment of weakness, sinking back into her chair as tears silently tracked down her cheeks. This wasn't grief for what she'd lost. It was mourning for what had never truly existed. 2 weeks passed in a strange limbo. Devon made no further attempts to contact Eliza beyond terse text messages about logistics. Through Lawrence, Eliza learned that her lottery winnings had been successfully transferred to her trust fund. Caroline continued building their case, gathering evidence and preparing for the moment they would reveal their counteroffer. That moment arrived sooner than expected. Devon's attorney is pressing for a response, Caroline informed Eliza during their weekly meeting. They're threatening to request a default judgment if we don't file within 5 days. They're bluffing, Eliza said, surprising herself with her certainty. Caroline smiled approvingly. Almost certainly, but it suggests Devon is feeling pressure. Possibly financial pressure. What do you mean? I've had my investigator looking into Meridian Financial. There are rumors of irregularities with the Westbrook acquisition, the one Devon was supposedly working late on with Vivienne. The SEC has made informal inquiries. Eliza's heart sank despite everything. Whatever Devon had done to their marriage, she had never wished professional ruin on him. Is he in trouble? Too early to tell, Caroline replied. But it explains his aggressive approach to your assets. He may need liquidity. The revelation shifted Eliza's understanding of Devon's behavior. Not just a man leaving his wife for his boss, but potentially a man scrambling to secure resources ahead of a professional crisis. What's our next move? She asked. Caroline laid out a folder containing their counter-proposal. We reveal strength but not all our cards. We demand the joint savings be returned, reject the 60-40 split of the house, and request reasonable alimony based on the lifestyle you've maintained during marriage. And the trust fund? Remains our secret weapon, Caroline confirmed. For now. Devon requested a meeting after receiving their counter-proposal, not through lawyers but in person. They agreed to meet at a neutral location, a quiet restaurant in the business district where the ambient noise would provide privacy while the public setting would prevent any emotional outbursts. Eliza arrived first, selecting a corner booth. She wore a deep emerald dress that complemented her auburn hair, with subtle makeup that highlighted her green eyes. Not for vanity's sake, but for armor, every element carefully chosen to project confidence. Devon appeared precisely on time, impeccable in a tailored gray suit that couldn't quite hide the strain around his eyes or the slight hollowness in his cheeks. He'd lost weight, Eliza realized, and looked as though he hadn't been sleeping well. Thank you for meeting, he said stiffly as he sat across from her. Professional courtesy, Eliza replied. Something your initial filing lacked. Devon's mouth tightened, but he nodded. I may have been hasty in some aspects. $62,000 worth of hasty, Eliza noted. Our entire emergency fund. I can explain that. I'm sure you can, Eliza interrupted. The question is whether your explanation will satisfy the judge when Caroline presents evidence that you emptied joint accounts days before filing. Devon had the grace to look uncomfortable. I've reviewed your counter-proposal, he said, changing tack. It's more reasonable than I expected. What did you expect, Devon? That I'd curl into a ball and let you take everything we built together? I expected emotion, not strategy, he admitted, studying her with newfound wariness. You've changed. No, Eliza corrected. I'm exactly who I've always been. You just never bothered to look closely enough. A server approached, and they ordered perfunctorily, neither particularly interested in food, but maintaining the pretense of a civilized dinner. Once they were alone again, Devon leaned forward. I'm prepared to return the joint savings, he said, as though offering a significant concession. And reconsider the house split. How generous, Eliza remarked dryly. And the alimony? Devon's expression hardened. That's not negotiable. You have your teaching position. A position that pays 1/6 of your salary, Eliza pointed out, after I supported us entirely during your MBA. That was ages ago. That was an investment in your future. Our future, she countered. An investment that's now paying dividends to Vivienne Pierce rather than your wife. Devon flinched at the direct reference to his affair. This isn't productive. Neither is adultery, yet here we are. Their food arrived, creating a momentary ceasefire. Eliza watched Devon push his steak around his plate, noting again the signs of stress etched into his features. Is everything all right at Meridian? She asked, more from genuine concern than strategy. Devon's head snapped up, suspicion flaring. Why do you ask? You look exhausted, Eliza said simply. Whatever's happening between us, I wouldn't wish professional troubles on you. For a brief moment, Devon's mask slipped, revealing a glimpse of the man she'd once loved. Vulnerable, uncertain. It's complicated, he admitted. The Westbrook deal has some issues. Regulatory issues? Eliza prompted gently. Devon's eyes narrowed. What have you heard? Nothing specific, she replied truthfully. But the financial world is small, and rumors travel. Devon placed his fork down carefully. Eliza, if you know something, I don't, she assured him. But it makes me wonder if your rush to secure assets is related to potential professional liability. The direct hit landed visibly. Devon paled slightly, then recovered. My attorney advised aggressive terms. Standard practice. And emptying our savings? Was that standard practice too? Devon had no answer for that. He sipped his water, buying time. What do you really want, Eliza? He finally asked. Beyond what's in your counterproposal? It was the opening Eliza had been waiting for. She set down her own fork and looked directly into the eyes of the man she'd once planned to grow old with. I want you to understand what you're throwing away, she said quietly. Not just our marriage, but your integrity. Your decency. She paused, letting the words sink in. I want you to recognize that one day, maybe soon, maybe years from now, you'll realize what you've lost, and it won't be recoverable. Devon swallowed hard. I've made my decision. Yes, Eliza agreed, a strange sadness washing over her despite her resolve. You have, and now I've made mine. She reached into her purse and withdrew an envelope, sliding it across the table. Devon opened it warily, his expression transforming from confusion to shock as he reviewed the documents inside. What is this? He demanded. Evidence, Eliza replied calmly. Emails between you and Vivienne. Hotel receipts. The diamond necklace purchase that mysteriously appeared on our joint credit card statement 3 months ago. The one you claimed was a billing error. Devon's face hardened. You spied on me? I protected myself, Eliza corrected. There's a difference. This changes nothing, Devon insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. Adultery barely factors into modern divorce settlements. Perhaps not directly, Eliza conceded. But the Meridian Board might find it relevant that their CFO and CEO were conducting an affair while negotiating the problematic Westbrook acquisition, especially if there are already SEC concerns. Devon stared at her, genuine fear flickering across his features. You wouldn't. I don't want to, Eliza said truthfully, which is why my counter-proposal is actually quite reasonable. Return our savings. Split the house proceeds equally. 3 years of appropriate alimony to transition me to financial independence. You're blackmailing me. I'm negotiating, Eliza corrected. From a position you didn't expect me to have. Devon's jaw worked as he processed this reversal of power. I need time to consider this. You have 48 hours, Eliza said, rising from the table. She placed cash beside her barely touched meal. After that, Caroline files our official response, including all supporting evidence. She paused, looking down at Devon, diminished somehow from the commanding presence he'd always projected. For what it's worth, she added softly. I truly loved you. That wasn't a lie, whatever else between us was. Devon couldn't meet her eyes. Eliza, save it, she interrupted, suddenly tired of the entire performance. Words won't fix this, actions might have once, but we're well past that point now. With that, she walked away, her steps growing lighter with each moment of distance between them. Outside the restaurant, she took a deep breath of the cool evening air, feeling truly free for the first time in months. Her phone buzzed with a text from Caroline. How did it go? Eliza smiled as she typed her response. He'll take the deal. Devon capitulated within 24 hours, his attorney contacting Caroline with acceptance of all terms and a request for confidentiality regarding the evidence Eliza had gathered. The joint savings would be returned. The house would be split equally. Alimony would be paid as requested. A complete victory, Caroline declared when Eliza visited her office to sign the amended agreement. Though I'm curious why you didn't push for more. With what we had, we could have gotten a considerably better settlement. Eliza shook her head. This was never about money. Then what was it about? Caroline asked, genuine curiosity in her voice. Respect, Eliza replied simply. And closure. As she signed the last document, Eliza felt the final threads binding her to Devon Morgan snap cleanly. Whatever happened next, with his career, with Vivienne, with the SEC investigation, was no longer her concern. Her phone chimed with a calendar alert. A meeting with Lawrence Chen to discuss the investment strategy for her trust fund. $10 million, still unknown to Devon or anyone beyond her immediate advisory circle. One last thing, Caroline said as Eliza prepared to leave. Devon's attorney mentioned he might want to meet with you. Personally, after the paperwork is processed. For what purpose? Closure, I imagine, Caroline replied. You're not obligated to agree. Eliza considered this, weighing the potential value of a final conversation against the risk of reopening wounds just beginning to heal. I'll think about it, she said finally. As she left the office building, stepping into the bright autumn sunshine, Eliza realized she already knew her answer. Some chapters needed a proper ending before new ones could begin. 3 months later, Eliza stood in the empty living room of what had once been her marital home. The closing had gone smoothly that morning, the proceeds already divided per their agreement. Devon had not attended, sending his real estate attorney instead. The house, once filled with 15 years of memories, now echoed with emptiness, her footsteps reverberating on the hardwood floors as she made a final walk-through. In the kitchen where she'd discovered her lottery win, she paused, remembering the fear and uncertainty of that night. How different things looked now. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nadine. Moving truck all loaded. Ready when you are. Still can't believe you bought that gorgeous place in Oak Ridge. Eliza smiled. Her new home, a light-filled contemporary overlooking the city park, awaited her. Purchased through her trust, it represented not just a fresh start, but a declaration of independence. One last buzz from her phone. He's here. Eliza took a deep breath. She had agreed to Devon's request for a final meeting, choosing this empty house as the location, neutral ground filled with shared history but no longer claimed by either of them. The sound of a car door closing outside prompted Eliza to move to the front window. Devon was walking up the path looking both familiar and like a stranger. He'd lost more weight, and his usually impeccable appearance seemed slightly disheveled, his tie askew, his normally perfect hair uncombed. When he knocked, the sound echoed through the empty house. Eliza opened the door but didn't invite him in. They stood facing each other across the threshold, a fitting metaphor for their current relationship. Thank you for agreeing to see me, Devon said formally. Eliza nodded but remained silent, waiting for him to continue. Devon shifted uncomfortably. I'm not sure, actually. Apologize? Explain? Is there anything left to explain? Eliza asked quietly. Probably not, he admitted. But I feel like I owe you something more than legal documents and division of assets. You owed me honesty, Eliza corrected him. 15 years ago and every day since. That debt can't be paid now. Devon flinched at her directness but nodded. You're right. I handled everything, badly. How's Vivienne? Eliza asked, surprising them both with the question. Devon's expression soured. Gone, back to London. The Westbrook acquisition collapsed when the SEC investigation began. She resigned to pursue other opportunities. And left you holding the bag, Eliza observed. Something like that, Devon agreed bitterly. The board is standing by me for now, but my reputation has taken a hit. Eliza felt a complex mixture of emotions, a hint of vindication quickly replaced by genuine compassion. Whatever Devon had done to their marriage, she had never wished professional destruction on him. I'm sorry, she said, meaning it. About your career troubles, not about us. Devon looked surprised by her sincerity. Thank you. They stood in awkward silence for a moment before Devon spoke again. I heard you bought a place in Oak Ridge. That's an exclusive neighborhood. Teacher salary must be better than I thought. There was an edge to his words, suspicion, perhaps, or simple bitterness that Eliza seemed to be thriving while his own life unraveled. Eliza considered her response carefully. The trust fund remained her secret, one she was entitled to keep. Devon had forfeited any right to explanations about her finances. "I've made some good investments," she said simply. "And some good decisions." "Unlike me," Devon added with unexpected self-awareness. "Your decisions are your own," Eliza replied, neither confirming nor denying his self-assessment. "As are the consequences," Devon nodded, accepting this truth with surprising grace. He glanced past her into the empty house. 15 years, he murmured. Gone like they never happened. "Not gone," Eliza corrected him gently. "Just completed. A chapter that's ended, not erased." Something in her words seemed to reach Devon, piercing the armor of self-justification he'd constructed. For a brief moment, she glimpsed genuine regret in his eyes. "I did love you," he said quietly. That wasn't a lie, just insufficient in the end. "Love without respect isn't really love at all," Eliza replied. "It's just attachment." Devon seemed to absorb this, nodding slowly. "You've changed," he observed again. "There's a strength in you now that wasn't there before." Eliza smiled slightly. "It was always there, Devon. You just never needed to see it before." Her phone buzzed again, Nadine wondering about the delay. Eliza glanced at it, then back at Devon. "I need to go." "The moving truck is waiting." Devon stepped back, creating space for her to exit. "Of course." As Eliza pulled the door closed for the final time, Devon spoke once more. "Are you happy, Eliza? Truly?" The question hung between them, perhaps the first genuinely selfless thing he'd asked her in years. Eliza considered the complex reality of her current life, the hurt still healing, the excitement of new beginnings, the security of her secret windfall, and most importantly, the rediscovery of her own strength. "I'm becoming happy," she answered truthfully. "And that's enough for now," Devon nodded, accepting this answer as the small gift it was, honesty without cruelty. "Goodbye." "Devon," Eliza said softly, turning toward her car where Nadine waited. "Goodbye." "Eliza," he replied. She didn't look back as she walked away, her steps light on the familiar path. Behind her lay 15 years of memories, lessons learned at great cost. Before her stretched a future of her own making, 10 million possibilities and the wisdom to make the most of them. As she slid into the passenger seat of Nadine's car, her friend studied her face. "You okay?" Eliza smiled, a genuine expression that reached her eyes for the first time in months. "Yes," she said, surprised to discover it was true. "I really am." "Good," Nadine said firmly, starting the engine. "Because your new life is waiting, and honey, it's going to be spectacular." As they pulled away from the curb, Eliza caught a final glimpse of Devon in the rearview mirror, a solitary figure standing in front of an empty house, growing smaller with distance until he disappeared altogether. The road ahead curved upward toward the hills where her new home waited, bathed in afternoon sunlight. Eliza rolled down her window, letting the spring breeze wash over her face. It carried the scent of new beginnings, fresh, unpredictable, and entirely her own. 6 months later. The gallery buzzed with conversation, glasses clinked, and appreciative murmurs rose from clusters of well-dressed patrons examining the artwork lining the walls. At the center of it all stood Eliza, elegant in a simple black dress, discussing her latest piece with an enthusiastic collector. The opening of Golden Cage Freedom Series marked her return to the art world after nearly 15 years, focused on teaching rather than creating. The collection, abstract pieces exploring themes of confinement, discovery, and liberation, had already received glowing reviews in local arts publications. "The emotion in these pieces is extraordinary," the collector was saying. "Especially this one." He gestured to the centerpiece, a large canvas dominated by shattered gold leaf overlaying deep blues and blacks. with a single red thread running through the composition. "Thank you," Eliza replied. "That one's particularly meaningful to me. Is it for sale?" the man asked hopefully. Eliza smiled. "I'm afraid not. Some things we keep to remind us of the journey." As the collector moved on, Lawrence appeared at her side, offering a glass of champagne. "Congratulations," he said warmly. "Not just on the show, but on everything you've built these past months." Eliza accepted the glass, clinking it against his. "I couldn't have done it without your help." "Oh, I think you could have," Lawrence countered. "The money helped, certainly. But the vision? The courage? That was all you, Eliza." Across the room, Nadine was directing a photographer to capture images of the entire collection for the gallery's website. Beyond them, a group of Eliza's students from the high school beamed proudly at seeing their teacher in this new light. "Any regrets?" Lawrence asked quietly. Eliza considered the question seriously. "About Devon? The divorce? About keeping the lottery win secret, even after everything was settled," Lawrence clarified. "He never knew what he really lost." Eliza's gaze drifted to her centerpiece, the shattered golden cage with its thread of possibility. "He lost something far more valuable than money," she said finally. "And I think in the end, he knew it." Lawrence nodded, understanding. "And the foundation? Any second thoughts about that?" Eliza smiled, thinking of the Educational Arts Foundation she'd established with half her winnings, funding arts programs in underserved schools across the city, including anonymous donations to her own school district. "Best decision I ever made," she assured him. "Money is just potential until you use it for something meaningful." The gallery owner approached, informing Eliza that a critic from the National Arts magazine had arrived and wanted to discuss her work. As she excused herself, Lawrence raised his glass in a final toast. "To new beginnings," he offered, "and to valuable endings," Eliza added with a smile. "Sometimes they're the same thing." As she moved through the gallery, her art on the walls, her future unfolding according to her own design, Eliza felt the last lingering shadows of her past life dissolve completely. The cage was open. Had been perhaps all along. She had simply needed to discover her own power to walk through the door.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.